Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Goonie, Goo Goo, Gerson, Nolasco? How you guys doing? Just make sure you guys can hear okay. Just starting a quick space, going to run for like an hour or so. And we're just going to be looking at some important information that has come out. And it might be that you need to get off Orbital Shield or the Safemoon wallet. It could be that that is also dangerous for you. And my goal, I don't care about Safemoon anymore, guys. Like in the context of like the team, like people, I'm cool with Safemoon people, but as far as the context of the team, so the goal is just to like I've always said, to provide early warnings. If there's a problem with Orbital Shield, then people need to know about it. Like if we had known about this hack before it happened yesterday, people could have sold, people could have got their money off. So trying to talk about things when it's most important to talk about them so that people can make decisions for themselves on what they want to do, right? And one of those things that I saw the Fudhound posting about, which is what we'll be looking at, is Orbital Shield not being safe. So that's one of the things we're going to be looking at. We're also going to be talking about a couple other things. And then we are going to allow people to talk on the YouTube side. I'll read YouTube comments as well as we're live on Twitter right now. So anybody on Twitter, if you want to come up, if you have anything you want to say regarding Safemoon, the hack, the future of it, how it impacted you, what you think the future of it is, you're welcome to come up. Otherwise, you can just listen. That's totally fine. New Zealand listening in. What's up, Julian? Good to hear you, man. Steve Lashley on the YouTube side of things says, I heard a rumor that the thief is talking about returning the 8 million. Anyone else hear this? Oh, yeah, let me see if I can pull that up. Because, yeah, we had screenshots of that as well. I don't think that's happened, and everybody is kind of just hoping that happens. Apparently, he hacked some other project and gave them some of their money back. A lot of the times, I think what happens with these hacks, guys, is that somebody will realize that, like, there's people out there that are watching new stuff launching, right? And they're checking it. They probably have a program, and they're checking it, looking for a flaw. They hack it, or they come to you and say, hey, there's a flaw in your contract. And if they hack it, they said, hey, we hacked it for you to save the money for you, and we'll return it. We just need a little fee, right? So that way they can get the money off legally. So, but it is kind of like blackmailing the team into getting that money. So, we've seen that happen multiple times in the past. But let's go ahead and look at the Fudhounds stuff. Actually, there's one thing I needed to do, which is to see if I can't get my sign in to work. I was trying to sign into BSE, and it was like giving me making it real hard on me. I'm like, dude, I don't have that many passwords. I mean, I guess I do. Yes. Okay, sweet. I got in. Another thing is, and we kind of beat this conversation to death, but how the Safemoon believers respond to this versus how the Fudders respond to it. I feel like that's also an interesting conversation to have, because actually, let's go ahead and, before we get into all that, that's kind of a later topic. Let's go ahead and check out the Fudhound's post on Safemoon Orbital Shield, because that's probably the most important part. And for the people that are watching on the YouTube side of things, I don't want them to like miss out on this. If you're not paying attention on Twitter, you don't see Fudhound talking about this stuff. Okay, here we go. And some of you guys might have already seen this. If you guys want to come up on the Twitter side, you're definitely welcome to. What's up, Mining Tactics on YouTube? Let me go ahead and put this on the screen for you on the YouTube side of things. Okay, so yeah, he posted this actually 15 hours ago. We just went so long yesterday, and there was 2 spaces going. Sky and Metaverse Josh and Matt had a space that had like a ton of people, and I didn't realize that was going at the same time as mine. Hey, what's up, Bear Claw Crypto? Good to see you, man. What's up, Soma BT? To the moon. Are you still bullish on Safemoon? Yeah, it was a mistake. Okay, good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping by. On the Twitter side of things, Fudhound said, I haven't had a meeting with my blockchain dev shop. And like, it's important to remember that Ryan was on the team during a lot of this important stuff. And Ryan's saying a couple things that are extremely important. One, he's saying to get off Orbital Shield. 2, he's saying that the LP is not insured, right? Okay. So we're going to be going over both those things. So first, we'll go over the main important information. He had a meeting with his blockchain dev shop development team, and we have confirmed that this feature was not built into this contract when I was there. Mitch Bromwell, thank you for the $1, man. I really appreciate that. A calculator on the YouTube side of things says, you mean the Phoenix Blaster through the Orbital Shield? Who could have seen that coming? Are you going to go live when liquidity pool is returned? Well, if it does get returned, that would be important to cover, but it's not as important. Like, here's the thing. It's like I cover information that helps you guys. So if something good happens, you know, everybody on Safemoon's going to cover that. The YouTubers, the Twitter people, they're going to just be partying. John's going to be saying it. Everyone's going to be celebrating. When bad stuff happens, everybody shuts the hell up. And it's like left to a few people who are able to rationalize both positive and negative on a realistic scale. Very hard to see in this space. So I'm more needed whenever negative things are happening, because I'll be bringing you an honest perspective on the information. And I don't just assume the worst and go, oh, it's probably this. No, I give both things. So I probably wouldn't go live if it was returned, unless I felt like people needed a place to come make decisions about their wallets. But let's go ahead and get through this real fast. The deployer wallet did an upgrade to the contract recently, approximately 78 days ago, and again a couple days ago, and introduced what's called a public burn function. So essentially they introduced, this is Fudhound talking if you're just not tuning in. Essentially they introduced a critical issue into the contract. This would easily be picked up in a security audit if one was performed. First of all, they didn't audit this. And like, there's anybody who's a Safemoon maxi, like, that's fine if you believe in Safemoon, have some accountability. Like, they lost all of our money. And I know for a fact that if this had happened to any other project, Safemoon maxis would have been like, this is why you should stick with Safemoon. This is why Safemoon is better, because Orbital Shield and because this. But whenever it's Safemoon's fault, it's like, oh yeah, you know, there's just no accountability with their holders. So essentially they introduced a critical issue into the contract. It would have been picked up by an audit. Like, that's the craziest thing to me. Like, multi-million-dollar company, and like didn't audit something that allowed everybody to lose their money, and people are just making excuses for it. And I'm sorry, that does blow my freaking mind. Like, I expected it, but it's still just always going to be like, how can you be this way? At what point are you going to get upset with the people that are screwing you over? So he also posted the timeline. I think that he's basically showing that this was not there while he was there. That's what the main point of Fudhound's first post right here is. But eventually it's going to get into like, stay away from Orbital Shield, and that the liquidity pool was not insured, which means that they have to pay for it from some other place, the out of pocket or the treasury or somewhere else. And we saw last night that the treasury only had like 9 million in it. You're only into promoting bad stuff? Okay, I see. Well, I'm not promoting it. Virgil Harrison, if you want to come up into the chat and have a discussion with me, you're definitely welcome to. The thing you have to understand, Virgil, is you have these maxi glasses on, and you attack anybody that talks negatively about Safemoon, and you make excuses for Safemoon. You just got to take those glasses off and have a fair standard for everybody, and then you'll be able to work your way through the information in an honest way. But like, you're one of the people that gets upset at me for telling you that Thomas was quitting when he was quitting. And the team told you he wasn't quitting, and the maxis told you he wasn't quitting. And I was right, and I told you the right information when you needed it. And I've always done that. I'm not saying I'm perfect or, you know, I'm awesome or anything. I'm just saying you gotta wake up. So no audit was done. And then somebody named Safemoon Stacker right here, as you guys can see, he said the price is still okay. The LP is insured, and he's actually one of my subscribers. He's actually a pretty cool guy. And then Fudhound says, "What insurance?" And then TNG Systems says the insurance that Safemoon said they had. Which, in my experience, when we were covering this, like as YouTubers back in the day, they just said that it was insured, and like we just took their word for it. I never saw like anything proving that it was insured. I never saw any documents. And I make YouTube videos, like that's the stuff I look for so that I can put it in the video and show it and say, here's the proof. But we kind of just took their word for it, and then we never knew what company or any of that stuff. And people are just kind of assuming that it's insured. So Fudhound goes on, continues to say, only insurance that was discussed is insurance automatically issued by Fireblocks. He said Fireblocks assumes the risk if the digital asset is within Fireblocks custodian accounts. He says DeFi LP is not within that scope at all. They would not ensure contract vulnerabilities or exploits. He said, I have no idea who would be spreading these rumors, but they are very harmful and misleading. And then John's uncle comes in onto this. This was 6 hours ago, and says, this tracks where John only hears what he wants to hear, like claiming an EU exchange license is an EU money license. And so that kind of, it puts you in this interesting situation where it's like, is the Fudhound wrong? And they have insurance that nobody knows about except for John, even though Ryan was on the team, right? And John has this insurance that he just didn't tell us about. Or John misunderstood how Fireblocks insurance works, told everybody that the LP was insured, and then myself, Darkmoon, Tim, other YouTubers went on to say, yay, the LP is insured because John told us it was. Now, if you can prove to me through a document or through something that it actually was insured, then I'll show that. But as of right now, it looks like John might have lied to the investors or just not known what he was talking about, and that there is no insurance on the LP, and that money is just going to have to be paid for. If the hacker doesn't give it back, which it's like, why would they give it back? They might for a fee for like 10% or something, so that they're getting their cut and they're able to take that off and through, into their bank account without having a legal trouble potentially. Tommy G on the YouTube side of things with a $2 donation. Thanks so much, man. He says, Joe says Safemoon is going to be sold. What do you think? That sounds like a possibility in my mind, as far as like, we'll hit that topic towards the end. And if anybody on the Twitter side of things wants to come up and discuss where you think where Safemoon is headed, it's purely for the reason of investors to understand, should I sell? If I get my money back, should I sell or whatnot? Because right now things don't look too good. Like Safemoon was already looking really bad. You add all of their LP getting hacked on top of that. That's almost the end of Safemoon, right? And that's what we're talking about today. But once again, Ryan was on the team and he was talking about the LP not being insured. And Ryan is not a stupid guy, right? And then here's somebody else posting, John Crony saying, we are not insuring people's wallets, only the company's wallets and treasury. And then he says LP is a function of the treasury, which it sounds like John is saying the LP is insured, but we don't have any proof to prove that. And once again, here's more comments of the Fudhound saying, like, there's no insurance. He says there's no insurance for DeFi LP money missing from contract vulnerabilities that I've ever heard of or even exist. He said, I hate that the Safemoon ad is played like this. Many of you are good people and don't deserve this. Bullshitinsurance.com. So yeah, that's pretty important. I'm going to jump over to the YouTube side of things. Safemoon is going nowhere, waste of time, money, shame they couldn't deliver nothing. If you go to try the sale, the money you're getting does not reflect the price CoinMarket's saying. Yeah, that's another important thing that like we covered yesterday for people, was to know that if you're trying to sell, that it would tell you that the price was like 2x if you're looking at CoinMarketCap or in your wallet, Safemoon wallet. But the actuality, there was only like $80 in the LP. So when you went to sell, you get like nothing. So outside of that, for me, like that's really important. What the two things that he's talking about is the LP is not insured. And the other thing that we need to look at is him talking about Orbital Shield, because it's something that if you're watching on the YouTube side of things or you're on the Twitter side of things, Orbital Shield is something that tons of people, it gives access to all your wallets, right? So if there is a flaw within Orbital Shield that allows somebody to get into that login, then they gain access to all of your stuff. It may not be that, it could be something else, but we'll try to look through his replies and see if we can piece together what exactly it is that Ryan is saying. So someone asked Ryan, the Fudhound, he said, for clarity, are you saying with 100% certainty that this is what is referenced by Safemoon when stated it was insured, or is this an opinion of what stated? I'm fine with you saying this is a fact. Just want to know you're presenting this argument. And then the Fudhound says, there's no such thing as insurance for DeFi liquidity held in DeFi contracts. It's way too much of a risk. Companies won't take that risk. Unless on very rare cases where the LP is locked. Even then, good luck. Like, yeah, man, who would want to insure something when there's always this possibility that there's some exploit that hasn't been found out yet? I mean, we've watched what we thought were many of the safest contracts. You know, that is scary to know that it's like there might come an exploit in some major contracts in the future, right? So the idea of people wanting to insure some millions of dollars does sound pretty insane, and it's pretty crazy that we just bought that without really digging into that or having a good idea. But that's kind of how this relationship's always been between the team and the army, is kind of just telling us stuff, and if it's positive, we hype it up, and if it's negative, we make excuses. But the team never tells you negative things anyways. Everything's always in a positive light. Mitch, thanks for that extra $1. Sorry for anybody who lost money, guys. If it makes you feel any better, I still held my Safemoon. I had like less than $1,000. Still money that is lost, and it's not as if I'm just like, oh yeah, screw you guys. This is what you like. No, I'm like, I took a hit with you guys. Probably not as big as a hit as many of the maxis because they're probably dumping tons of money. Like for me, when Safemoon, like years ago, I was saying, guys, the price keeps going down. If it continues to do what it's been doing, it's just going to keep going down. And like even dollar cost averaging is a terrible plan right now because you could just wait and buy it for much cheaper. I said that like a long time ago, and people still loved me and listened to me and didn't hate me for covering the negative stuff. I was still trying to say, guys, be smart with your money. Don't dollar cost average, because I was like, yeah, it might take off, but it's just, there's no indication that it's going to do that. Hey, what's up, Maddie? Mining Tactics says, smash that like button, people. Let's get this video seen. Yeah, guys, do me a favor. It doesn't really do anything for me other than help the video. I get like maybe a couple bucks off this on YouTube. So people worry that I make money. No, I'm making a couple bucks, and trust me, the effort that I put into these things is worth a lot more than a couple bucks. So yeah, like on the YouTube side. If you're on the Twitter side of things, you know, share. Maybe try to get some people in here. And definitely come up on the YouTube side of things if you have something that you want to say about this. I'd like to hear other people's takes on this situation, and especially on like, where do you think Safemoon is going after this? Can it recover, or is this the final, catalyst to the end of Safemoon? I do tend to think that it's going to be like really hard to recover from something like this. Sorry, I have to read something real quick. I'm getting a couple start in 2 hours, 9:30 Eastern time. Is that 8:30? That's like an hour. Oh, I just started. Sorry, there's some potentially more people joining, and sorry about the typing sounds as well. Jeffrey Horton says, if it's negative, then they close the comment section and block anyone speaking badly on Safemoon. Yeah, like Safemoon, if on the Facebook, I don't know if you guys follow him on Facebook, but Safemoon on Facebook blocks everybody. Like they block all the people. On Twitter, they blocked probably thousands of its own investors. You can't even ask a question, right? You can't even be like, hey, what about Operation Phoenix? Ban. Like, shut the hell up. Don't talk about that. What about John's house? Ban. Don't you ever bring up John's house again. You know what I mean? It's just like, and Discord, right? That's why, like, yeah, I haven't been banned from the Discord yet, but I stopped talking in it just so I could keep track of it. Like, if they ban me, I could just go make another account and join, but I'd rather not do that because I'm lazy. Okay, so the really important thing I think that we should try to take a look at, if I can find it, is Fudhound talking about Orbital Shield, unless he deleted his comments, which I'm actually not seeing that. I mean, he might have deleted his comments. Fireblocks did not hold swap liquidity pool. That's what I'm trying to say. They had nothing to do with that LP. Therefore, there wouldn't be any insurance. Whatever people are saying, it's just inaccurate understanding and narrative. So Fudhound, who worked for Safemoon, who got the wallet done, who people loved at one time, he's like, there's no way that the LP is insured, right? And this is really important depending on, are people going to get their money back or not, right? Because Safemoon could just say, sorry guys, we got hacked, and we're going to call it here, like this has kind of brought our operation to an end. Or they could say, we're going to sell this to another sell this to another project for them to take over Safemoon. $50, Matt. Oh my God, Matty, thank you so much, man. $50 donation on the YouTube side of things. YouTube gets 30% of that, but thank you so much, Matty. He says, enjoy, brother. You and I have been following projects for a while. Thank you so much, Matty. I really appreciate that. Guys, because of Matty, he convinced me that like XRP is the next thing. So he actually got me invested in XRP, and we all know that that's gone up a decent amount in the past like couple weeks. So thanks for that as well, Matty. Really appreciate that support, man. Safemoon is gone. Woohoo. Why does the contract even need something that unburns tokens? That's a great question. You know, I would love to hear an explanation on that. And we did have potentially some very smart devs that were going to join. I'm not sure if when they can. It might not be a couple hours before they join, and I don't know if I'll be live then. So worst case scenario, you can join another space if I'm not live. Reflex is in great hands with Featrius. What we built there was worthy enough to get acquired by a great outfit. They have a Discord and official Twitter as well. I'm trying to find the part, if somebody could tag me in it, where Ryan talks about Orbital Shield, because it's like, if Orbital Shield has something that causes people either a leak or some people are being exposed to that information that you don't want to be exposed, then I don't know. You know what I mean? Like we thought the LP was safe and then something happened. What if Orbital Shield is safe, but then something happens, right? And that's the thing to me is like Fudhound is such a trustworthy source, in my opinion, that if he said something about Orbital Shield, then that is definitely worth at least looking into, right? But I can't find his tweet on it. I don't know if he deleted it. Un momento. If anybody wants to come up on the Twitter side, you're definitely welcome to. What's going on, Darren? How you doing, man? Okay, yeah, I can't find his tweet, but I saw a tweet, I believe, of Ryan saying Orbital Shield, something wrong with it. He might have deleted it, but maybe somebody screenshotted it and put it on Reddit. I can check that out. Whatever happened to EGC, Evergrow Coin is about to release Luna Sky version 2, and then same they're releasing Atlas Wallet as well. So they're still going strong. Maddie says, I made money on EGC. You asked me to look into it before it blew up. Awesome, Maddie. Yeah, I hope I make as much on XRP, but I kind of feel like I got in late. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm getting in late, but everybody seems to think that if they win this lawsuit that they're going to explode. And I just recorded an interview from Kathy Woods yesterday, who is a really smart person when it comes to finance and crypto and like what the future of finance is. And she's saying it looks like they're going to win, like they're probably going to win. So hopefully that does well for us. You know, that would be amazing. Maddie says Fudhound is a fellow Marine. He's a solid dude that calls out character. Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of Fudhound's experience there was saying that he didn't like, he felt there was some kind of moral problem and that he didn't have control over the future of Safemoon. Like that's what he said in his Twitter post. And I believe he was referring to Josh Chilcutt, who is now gone. You know, they're all gone except for damn it, I can never remember that guy's name. Hayden. And obviously, like, the Discord people are still here, except for some mods. Yeah, let me check and see real quick if I can find that post on Orbital Shield, because that seemed really important to me to cover. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something, I don't know. But if Ryan was saying something about it, then I think it's worth at least hearing what he has to say and then deciding for yourself, right? If somebody wants to come up and keep me company or say how you feel about how everything's going down, whether or not you think Safemoon's going to make it or break it, you know, how are they going to get the money back if the liquidity pool is not insured? Because Ryan's convinced it's not insured, and that would mean they would have to bring those funds from somewhere else. And like we don't know unless somebody has some information that I haven't seen how much money they have outside of the treasury, which I think was only like 9 to 10 million, and it would take most of that to pay back the liquidity. And in my mind, that's the only smart play. Like if you're in charge of a project and you lost the money because you didn't audit, or your dev team maybe made a mistake, or you know, I don't know. Some people feel we're getting these two different stories, and I could go over that really fast. with Kark. If you guys don't know who Kark is, he's actually like a very smart dev as well. And he was talking about, he basically was breaking down what happened with it. And I'll bring that up right now and cover that because it is pretty important if you haven't read this. He basically says that they launched it with the right function, and then the guy went back and changed it to the broken function that allowed it to be hacked. He said it was 2 days, 9 hours ago. I'll go ahead and put this on the screen on the YouTube side of things. And yeah, if anybody wants to come up on the Twitter side of things, I'd appreciate that, just to keep me company and give me a breather every once in a while. If not, totally fine. I can just keep ranting. But yeah, I'm going to put it up on the YouTube side of things right now so you guys can see. Maddie, thanks so much for that donation, man. I really appreciate that. Views are down, money's down. I promise you I've never been paid 1 penny to FUD Safemoon. I've only done it because I thought it was morally the right thing to do. Okay, he's still posting. The proxy that was deployed had the correct burn function and then was updated shortly after with the change below, which introduced the exploit. This was an inside job. So that's from Grove Moon. And so it's like, so it did have what it needed, and then they went back and they changed it shortly after, which allowed for the all that craziness to happen yesterday, from stealing liquidity to burning people's tokens to unburning the burn wallet, just madness on the blockchain, just chaos from and like once people realized they could do that, anybody could do that. Like you could go and burn people's tokens. John did have a post earlier today saying something about, don't worry, we got your tokens. Yeah, I kind of, that is kind of important actually. But to me, it's like the tokens don't really matter if the LP is not there. You know what I mean? Like the tokens, that's great, but what made those tokens valuable was the amount of BNB that was in the liquidity pool. Maddie says, keep in mind, XRP all-time high was 347 with no active utility. They now have over 1,700. Wait, was it really that high? That's crazy. If you guys want to come up, just raise your hand up. I appreciate that. If it's not showing, then it's just glitch. Shoot me a message and I'll invite you. 1 second, I just want to check something real fast. Dude, Bitcoin jumped up over 28K. That was amazing. I just I just put a couple grand in Bitcoin, so I'm pretty happy about that. And it's only up like a couple hundred, but still, it's pretty awesome. XRP is way up right now, dude. That's amazing. So XRP is okay. XRP is at 54 cents, and you're saying the all-time high was $3.47. Oh, okay. And yeah, you would expect if they win that lawsuit or whatever, that case, to jump past the all-time high. So anyways, that's pretty important information. Kark and other devs like DeFi Mark, because it's like, it almost starts to feel like inside job. And of course, people are going to feel that way in the DeFi space. The maxis, of course, if you're a believer in Safemoon, your mind probably goes towards, it was probably an accident or some guy made a mistake or something, right? And that's definitely possible. Like, I don't know. There's no way to like know these things. But the fact that it was deployed correctly, then went back and changed it in order to allow for this, all of the LP to be taken through the burn function. For people, it'll feel like, okay, they did that on purpose so that they could steal that themselves, blame it on an outside source, and have the LP. I don't know, you know. And the fact that that guy actually was talking on the blockchain, so you could actually go look at his wallet, and I believe it was verified by Thomas. I know a lot of people don't find him as a great source. You know, Papa, people call him, as being the wallet that stole the money, and I can put that on the screen as well. He was just saying it was this weird story about like, I live in some other country and I'm poor and I need the money because my investments didn't do well. It's like just some weird story. Honestly, it didn't really make sense to me. But David did say, and David is Kark. Kark, I think he like worked with Safemoon for a while. He was actually like a big some type of major role in the Safemoon Discord, if you guys didn't know. And Kark also worked with Mark. I know a lot of people hate Mark, will be like, oh, so screw him. But they're just smart people, and they're pretty decent people, in my opinion. He said, I'm still not convinced it was purposeful. This also can adequately explained by gross incompetence. There may have been a reason to make the function I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm usually pretty good at pronouncing words. Parameterized like an external function call. Who uses that word, parameterized? But it's still not a good look. It would need an obvious whitelist check. I wonder what you mean by whitelist check. Like what other wallets have access to it or something? And basically they're saying they don't think, and it could just be due to like they don't want the backlash from people by saying, hey, that looks like inside job. I personally don't think that it's inside job. Like there's so many different possibilities. There is the possibility that John said, I'm in the middle of a lawsuit and having to deal with like the FBI or whatever through all of this, but I'm going to go ahead and rug my project while I'm in the middle of like suing my mom or having these, court cases about that are, and loosely connected to Safemoon. To me, that doesn't make any sense, right? Like maybe wait if you planned on rugging your own project for a better time. I do think that it's more than likely somebody made a mistake and maybe it was an obvious one, but the fact that they didn't audit it, that's where I'm like, how could you be in charge of everybody's money, have millions of dollars and not do like the most simple thing, especially after talking about safety for the past 2 years. That just screams the opposite, right? It screams incompetence. And everybody lost their money. Not only did everybody lose their money and maybe is hoping to get it back through some insurance that I don't even think exists, or through John just pulling the money out of the treasury and injecting it into the liquidity pool. But people actually lost their money on the Safemoon swap and through other ways in such a way because they were selling and stuff. People were actually hurt by this in a permanent sense that they will not get their money back, even if the liquidity pool is injected with the treasury funds. So people need to keep that in mind as well. If anybody wants to come up, I'd appreciate it. EGC is dead as Safemoon. Not really, but you're welcome to your opinion. Maddie says, CC, send me Twitter link on Discord. I can jump on for a little bit. Twitter link on Discord. Okay. Yeah, I would appreciate that. Maddie's actually a smart guy. A Twitter link to mine. You don't follow me on Twitter, Maddie? What the heck, man? I need a drink too, sitting here talking over and over. The main points I was wanting to say today or yesterday was like trying to create a place to help people understand what's going on, how much was taken, why was it taken, what's going to happen, are we going to get our funds back, what's the purpose of it? Like, I don't care about being like, see you guys, you idiots, see Safemoon's done. I don't want Safemoon to fail. But on both sides, there's a bunch of assholes on both sides. It's not like, oh, one or the other. There's people who hate Safemoon. They want to see it fail. They hate you, and maybe they're even justified. Maybe you've been an asshole to them. And then there's people on, the Maxi side that you defend Safemoon no matter what, and you attack anybody that questions it, even its own investors. You accuse them of being paid, of lying, of doing it for views. And it kind of just creates this sense of like, well, they want to see you fail because you're so hypocritical towards them. And then you play the victim whenever something bad like that happens. So all around, but there's a lot of decent people, and it's just like, hey, even though you guys have been assholes and accused me of being a scammer and all these terrible things, I don't want to see you lose your money, and I don't want to lose my money. I lost some money yesterday unless we get it back. But the goal is not to just like rub it in your face and let you know. It's not like, oh yeah, something bad happened, guys, get the live ready. Oh, this is going to be amazing. Like, no, it was not like that at all. I want to hear your opinion on EGC. I think EGC has potential. Sam has like the price is way down. I mean, I've given my opinion on it. I'll do it real fast because I don't want people to think I'm like shilling or whatever. EGC's price is way down. It may never go back up, right? That's always the possibility. Sam is friends with the guy who has the biggest Twitter spaces on Twitter, which is like kind of the biggest social media platform right now because Elon Musk is allowing us to like have some freedom and be able to say things that we can't say on other social media, and definitely talk about the corruption of the government. That's being silenced across the board on every other social media platform. So Sam has deep connections. Sam's extremely wealthy. They're paying a good dev team to work on Luna Sky, and they have the Atlas wallet. and the price is super cheap. And if Evergrow starts doing its thing where it gets that upward momentum and all the investors and other people start to get FOMO, it can really take off like it did in the beginning. So I think that with the price being so low, that Evergrow is becoming a potentially good, for me, 500, a couple thousand at it at the price being this low. And you might see, if we see a run up like we did last time, you're going to see some insane gains again. So that's my take on it. It's not guaranteed. There's no investment you could say this is guaranteed going to go up or guaranteed going to go down, generally speaking. So I don't like to do that. But that's my take on Evergrow. Yes, thank God someone requested. Just anybody to talk. Just anybody. Hey, what's up, Jason? How's it going, man? What's your take on all this?
Well, no, I was gonna thank you for having me up. I was gonna jump in a little bit earlier when you were talking about Bitcoin specifically. Being at the range that it is at right now. Looking at the charts, I mean, there is a possibility that we could see 30,000. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you my opinion, but like, I try to look to everybody to see what everybody's saying. Like, I know people hate BitBoy Crypto. I'll see him. What's his take on it? I just look at everybody. There's people that say Bitcoin's never going to all-time high again, and I'm like, okay, so everybody's saying everything, and I'm just like, I think nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. But like generally speaking, there's so many different predictions from the guy that said Bitcoin to 1 million and all that stuff. I think we have potential to see a run up. Yeah, like you just said, to 30 or higher. Especially with what's going on with the banks. I mean, there might be that case where Balaji is right. I know it sounds like absolutely stupid, but if we have a major banking financial crisis in America, which would be like devastating for us, then that you could see a run up on Bitcoin. And to me, like that's one thing I feel about Bitcoin is every time that Bitcoin has existed in the past, there has always been people that said, if you said that Bitcoin was going to like $1,000, you were an idiot. There's no way. You're an absolute moron. And then it happened. So for me, although Bitcoin cycles look to be predictable, I think that there's something about Bitcoin that is unpredictable, and that you should always keep that in mind when like anticipating the future price.
Well, no, I agree with you. And, we see these stories every day of Bitcoin's going to, $500,000 or $1 million or whatever. In many cases, I don't think people understand what the cash influx from both commercial and retail investors would have to be in order to accomplish that. And those funds are just not there in this current market right now. It's just not. It would be like $18 trillion, worth of influx in order for that to happen. There's nowhere in the global market that's going to take place. I do agree with you that a major banking issue in the United States or globally may have a play in that, but would it inject that kind of volume? I'm not sure. The only second reason that I was coming up was to support what you were saying earlier about Safemoon. I can't speak to anything directly, but as Revoltants is a tier 1 partner of Safemoon, I do know that they are all hands on deck in the background, and there are a lot of things that are going on. So enjoying the space so far, was just popping in to listen. I appreciate you having me up.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. I appreciate it. I want to hear from everybody and hear their perspective on really anything. So I appreciate you coming up and talking about Bitcoin, especially it going up, because I need it to go up. It's funny because like I'm like making money on DeFi and YouTube. Like I've worked basically for myself for the past couple of years just doing YouTube and DeFi. So in this bear market, that's when times get tough. And but now I kind of start to build up some money, and I'm like, okay, I could cash this out and keep this so that I can pay the bills and stuff, or I could put it in Bitcoin and see what happens. I'm starting to get a little degenerate with my money. But hopefully it does well, and hopefully we see that bull run. I don't know, real quickly, I'd like to hear your take on this, then we'll go to Maddie, and I'm back to the topic of Safemoon or XRP, is, if you look at the bull cycles, it looks like it always runs up into the halvening, which is, I think, March 14th of next year. You see like a little run up into it, and then it's after the halvening, not exactly after, but like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months after that it like really takes off and hits a new all-time high. You anticipate that to happen based on what you've been seeing? Jason?
All right. Okay, I just want to make sure because I didn't want to overstep Maddie if you were asking him that question. There are a lot of factors involved in this. Bitcoin halving coming up is going to be an issue. Every time they've done it in the past, it's made a big difference. But if you look at the charts right now, and I'm by no means claiming to be a chart expert, but if you look at the charting cycle right now, even in a time of recession in almost every major first world country on the planet, the charts right now are gearing towards a potential positive cycle. And I personally see the next level of resistance right around 30 grand or so. Not saying it's going to do that, but I believe it certainly has the capacity to do that. But of course, everything I say on any space is not financial advice at all whatsoever. We're just having, an open conversation here of potentialities and things that may or, may not happen and discussing conditions of those types of things. But I think if you got in and looking for a rise in Bitcoin, it probably was, a good move, in my opinion.
Okay. Maddie, what's going on, man? What do you want to talk about? Did you want to talk about Safemoon or XRP or a little bit of both?
I don't know, maybe a combination. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
All right, good. Yeah, I just got in. I've been working all day, so. Anyways, I guess a couple of different things to talk on. So, I've been following Crypto Control here for a while. Him and I have been collaborating since 2021. Back when he first got into hyping Safemoon way back in the beginning. And then, of course, over time, we've all experienced the ups and downs of Safemoons and mainly the downs. And I've been on Safemoon since March 15th, since the first month it came out. I made money, and the position that I have with it, I'm a little pissed right now, I'll be honest. I'm not going to speak on, is this an inside job? Is this not an outside? Is this an hacker or whatever? I'm not going to speculate on that because it doesn't do anyone any good. But regardless of the situation, I sent you a couple things on the insurance yesterday, and I actually was pulling up public asset insurance reports and stuff. I could not find Safemoon on any of the lists. Now, if they have insurance, they can make that public. They can make that known. Cover the LP, cover the treasury, that's fine. But give confidence to your people. This is a common sense thing. A bad thing happened. They need to do some PR. Come out, say something. Don't sit there and do the woo-woos behind, closed doors and whatnot. Give some confidence to the people. We need more than just words. And that's as simple as that.
No, that's like 1,000%. This has happened every time, and it's like the team is not going to tell you, the investors, what the investors need to hear. They're not going to tell you negative things or do this to save your wallet. Typically, generally speaking, they're trying to save face and keep faith in the project. Like that's naturally how a team's incentivized to do that. So it's good to be able to have a conversation outside of that. Like, hey, is this actually insured or not? But then that kind of comes down to, did John lie to us or did he not know what he was talking about? And either way, either of those things makes you say, how could you be confident in Safemoon anymore after that if it's either of those things?
Exactly, and it does come down to basically a perception of us trusting him and trusting the team, but still, they are at a precipice right now where they got to save face, show good faith for the project, show good intention. They may salvage the project. If they go the other way, Safemoon is a dead project. And, I've been in crypto long enough to know that you don't put more money in that you're willing to lose, and this is a big lesson for a lot of people. Now I've got money in other projects and whatnot. I'm happy, like I was telling you, XRP, XLM, and I really don't want to shill any projects, but I do want to talk about the common sense of the crypto industry. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, XLM, XDC, IOTA, HBAR, Cardano, all these other projects that exist. There are some solid projects and people need to be aware of actually what's going on. The monetary system is changing, people. It's a simple thing. You know, fiat currency is literally being destroyed, and the banks are announcing it. It's public information. The ISO 222 coin compliance for banking, that's a big red flag. It's a huge red flag. And there's only 7 projects that are approved, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are not them. Now, in this transition, they're not going to go away. And Bitcoin was never designed to be the #1 project. It was just the first. It was the hype. It was the first. And it was designed to be a tool for digital forensics. That's ultimately what it came out for. And it was used to basically try to take down the dark web. And it did its function. But it was never designed to be the #1. And people kind of need to get their head wrapped around that. And a lot of maxis will, praise Bitcoin up and down. Even Bitboy Ben, he was a hardcore maxi, and he turned away from the situation of Bitcoin being the #1. He's been screaming and yelling it out recently, and he's got a little bit more respect for me because at least he's trying to play middle of the line. But he used to be a huge maxi. But again, following the ISO 222 compliance, Google it. You can see the 7 projects. Common sense tells you any of these 7 projects will be your winners. Put money in them. But if you believe in other projects, be frugal, but put in what you feel like is safe. And of course, make sure the project's doxed. But also to speak on a separate note regarding the conduct with Safemoon.
Real quickly, Maddie, if you
what's up?
don't mind, I really meant to read this earlier because I was trying to find this, and I'll read this real fast, and then we can get to your take on Safemoon. I finally found it. It's Safemoon Fudhound. He says it's on the screen on the YouTube side of things, and I'll go ahead and I've already retweeted it. Okay, he says I'll get flack for this, but I feel it is my duty to say it is because I'm the only one who worked at Safemoon who was kicked off the Orbital Shield development project for uncovering and exposing this internally. When I fought tooth and nail to remove it and or fix it, I was strategically removed from the feature. If you used Orbital Shield to derive a private key for a wallet address, get your funds moved out of that wallet address immediately. He said, I tweeted before saying I wouldn't touch Orbital Shield and I was vilified for it. I hope people actually listen this time. Do not trust it. Move funds off of any wallet address that you created using Orbital Shield. So that's literally the guy that works at Safemoon coming out and saying that he saw some kind of problem with it, and then he was removed from the working on it. And I don't know how legitimate it is. If you guys want to say it, come up and say whether you think he's right or wrong. But either way, it's noteworthy to say that somebody on the team is saying move your funds off of Safemoon Orbital Shield. Go ahead, Maddie.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, that is obviously a level of concern and risk. And I would say if anyone is experiencing most likely some awkward wallet activity of anything that has been linked to Orbital Shield, then yeah, let's make it a red flag and show some validation, screenshot, do something. Don't give up your seed phrase, obviously, but it's not a hard thing to make a duplicate wallet and transfer all your other relative coins except for Safemoon over to it. That's a pretty quick and easy thing to do for a correction.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we can go ahead and go to what you were about to say about Safemoon, and then we can go to crypto bags.
All right. So there are a few things that I think everyone should be starting to take into real consideration. And I've got some real doubts, being a business owner, working all this kind of stuff, being on, major projects developer for power and utilities and, all the kind of stuff. It is very questionable on my part. When I was seeing the conduct from the previous developers, as well as John Crony, on how they received their money. If this all turns to crap, I would not be opposed to the understanding of a class action lawsuit to take all the previous developers, including John Crony, into a class action lawsuit, subpoenaing their actual bank records showing how the money was handled. Because if they treated those funds as an independent and didn't receive those funds as an actual dictated check of justification for business purposes, they violated the purposes of an LLC, and it becomes a sole proprietor, which means they are liable at that point. But I'm not telling anyone to jump the gun and do anything. Wait and see what actually happens first. But that might be something to look at in the future if people want to pursue that.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to crypto. Is it Crypto Bab? How's it going, man? Crypto Bag. Sorry, bro.
No, you're all right, man. How's it going? I wanted to get up here and kind of piggyback off of Matty a little bit. He's absolutely right in pretty much everything he said about Safemoon. If you just even look at the history of Safemoon, and just to give a little bit of background, I also invested in Safemoon when it first launched in 2021, and the price has only gone down since it came out. And if you, I don't know how many people in here in this room right now has invested since 2021 in Safemoon. I see a couple of names, Darren and some other guys that I know have been around for a while. But Safemoon has always come out with promises. If you look at the track record, the trip to Africa, the promises of banking the unbanked, and then seeing the whole team lead, Jack Haynes, his brother Thomas. People hate on Thomas, but he was the code guy. He did a lot to develop the blockchain, or not even the blockchain, but the code, and to get SafeMoon up and running. And that should have been a huge flag for anybody when everybody's hopping ship off of SafeMoon. If it's going to the moon, it's this great thing that everybody's wanting to buy it and hold it. You're not going to just a whole team is not going to just abandon a project. So that was flag number one. And then shortly after that, for people that's been here for a while, you'll remember John, tweeting out that we were going to get the exchange, the wallet, and all I can't even remember everything else he promised by the end of the year. And I believe it was 2021. He said we were going to get all these things by the end of the year, and that was total bullshit. So there's so many red flags. What does everybody have to show for Safemoon right now? You have nothing. It's the only thing that they came out with really was the wallet, and the Fudhound. He was the one behind that. I just hate to see people keep losing money on this project. I lost money myself, and like I said, I just hate to keep seeing everybody lose money. It's time to wake up, man. The LP is not insured. I know John said that in the Discord or wherever he put it out at, but nobody's insuring an LP. The crypto space it's still in its infancy. We're all so early to the crypto space. People aren't going to insure the LP like that. And kind of like I said, to go off of what Matty was saying, there's other great projects out there, projects that's been around for a long time, for years. They're stable, and you don't have to worry about your money, losing your money, losing your tokens or what have you. It's just if you just look at the track record of Safemoon, there's so much that should be a telltale sign that there's something drastically wrong with the project.
Yeah, I really see it as like, you see those people that get in a bad relationship and they just want that person so bad that they can't see any of the red flags, but everybody else can see it. Like, you've probably been in this situation
Right.
yourself, or you've definitely seen other people in it. And that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like people, they really believe Safemoon's going to the moon, and they believe that anybody trying to convince them of that it's not is trying to make them miss out on their life-changing but it's like, how many bad things can you go through? Like, for me, there was a time that being a maxi was a good thing because they didn't have all of these negative things surrounding it. Like, we didn't know about all of this stuff that went down, and if we still had the original team. So for me, I was confident, and like exactly like you said, like, worst case scenario, the team starts leaving because then they're abandoning the project, and it's like they got theirs and they're done. So that was extremely scary, and we've got to experience terrible things happen over and over and over again, like from him saying that we're going to get the exchange and the blockchain in 2021. And it's like, just talking about those things, because it's negative, people think you're trying to attack Safemoon because you're talking about negative stuff. And that's where it's just like, well, you need to recognize they're the ones actually doing those things. You know what I mean? It's not like I put a gun to John's head and said, even though people might disagree on this, take from the liquidity pool. You know, take money from the liquidity pool and buy yourself a house and get all this money, or made the team leave or any of that. But they don't care that they're the ones doing the problems. They care that you're talking about it, because they think if you talk negatively about it, you're going to make the price go down and you're hurting their dreams of becoming rich. And at a certain point, you have to come face to face with like reality of like what kind of person you're choosing to be and what you're prioritizing over honesty and logic. And a lot of people, they come face to face with heavy evidence, with John proving over and over again and Safemoon proving over and over again, in my perspective, that it puts the investors last. They're getting screwed the hardest. They're lying. They've lied about everything. Nothing's come through. His brother left. His uncle left. Ryan quit / got fired, whatever. And it's always everybody else's fault. And his family sucks. And his mom's evil. And his uncle's an asshole. And Ryan's an idiot. Thomas is a raging idiot. It's like, okay, maybe we're delusional and we need to wake up a little bit and see what's actually going on here and like what you're participating in. That was another thing, a big thing. People always say, oh, you're worried about anybody talking about what's actually going on, causing people to lose money. And it's like, you guys are literally doing that. Anytime anything negative comes out, you make an excuse for it. And anybody who talks about it, you attack them personally and say they're being paid for it. And they're doing it for clout and they're doing it for views and they're doing it. So it's like people telling you the truth, you're attacking and hurting. And like you guys caused not only each other, but other people to lose money by suppressing actual logical information about what the team has done regarding the liquidity pool, regarding John's wallet, stuff that CoffeeZilla found, regarding the fact that Operation Phoenix isn't working out, regarding how you put a spin on everything to make it so that you end up being rich in the end from Safemoon. You've caused people to lose money, and you need to take accountability for that. Is there anybody else that wants to come up? You're definitely welcome to come up, and whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Twitter. Actually, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to jump over to YouTube for a second and check out some of their comments.
Well, yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, the whole thing right there by the behavior, it kind of matches that of narcissistic behavior, on John Crony's part. So just something to kind of observe, because how it was all handled. I mean, he always went on the attack. He was never listening. He was never having the empathy when someone's giving him a valid thing. He went on the attack instead. And that is a narcissistic behavior. Just something to think about.
His behavior has always been really odd, because he will, from what I've seen, he stays quiet most of the time. He never attacked people except for Ryan. That was the only time I saw him throw shade. Other than that, he stays quiet. He says we wish them the best. And he puts off this appearance of being professional and kind. But I think, and I kind of can respect that, but I think behind the scenes, if you're getting millions of dollars and you're not telling your investors that Thomas actually is quitting and you're convincing him to stay, and you're not telling your investors where you got the money, and you're not telling them the most important things that they need to know when it's happening. Like right now, people need to know, is this insured or not? And that's just not being clarified. There is a message that somebody sent me from John saying, we're working on, he's basically saying, you're going to get your tokens back, is what John's saying, but nothing about whether or not the liquidity is going to be back or not, from what I've seen. Also, I have on the screen real fast on the YouTube side of things, it's that message. I'm sure you guys have read it on the Twitter side, but in case you haven't, it's the hacker saying, hey, relax, we accidentally front run an attack against you. We would like to return the fund. Set up secure communication channel. Let's talk. And I don't know, that could just be trolling, or it could be them trying to, like I said at the very beginning of this, hackers will look for contracts that are being launched, find an exploit it, and then say, hey, we took this for you, but we took this before a bad actor could get it, and now we'll give it back to you. We just want like 10% for doing that for you, right? That way they can legally get that money, take it off chain. And some people actually make a living doing that and get a lot of money, right? 10% or whatever, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Real quickly on the YouTube side of things, Money Buggy says John is rich already and wants to enjoy the money and hang out in the UK. KRK, what's going on, man? He says projects need to start leaving. They pay to get access to holders. The holders are waking up and not buying. Sorry, everyone, for your loss. Saying it was exploited keeps the FBI off his case, but we know better. Yeah, a lot of people feel like it was an inside job. I don't lean towards that, but I don't fully think that that's not it. Everyone says use your own. Oh, my YouTube's messing up. Sorry, exactly. I've been saying this for a long time. Blind cult-like loyalty has done more harm to this than any fodder ever could. It really has. Like, being a maxi in this space is just not good, guys. They better call the police before he run like Do Kwon. All right. And go ahead, Jeremy, and we'll go ahead and bring up crypto bags. What's going on, Jeremy? What's your take on everything?
Honestly, bro, I am just so grateful to God that I woke up a long time ago. I see a lot of people still stuck on it, and it's sad because I met a lot of good people throughout this community. It's really sad. I mean, this is beyond a pattern. This is beyond that. It's just something it's just, he got us. You know what I'm saying? He got everybody. He's getting everybody good. People just don't want to accept it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, you sold a while ago.
Me, yeah, I fucking been sold, bro. Like, shit, I've been sold. I have bills to pay. I wasn't making no money. I didn't see it going nowhere. At the time when I sold it, I needed to sell. Throughout the whole time, I was selling just to keep this little thing going that I was from when I was promoting it. It cost me everything that I had pretty much at one point. And then they blessed me, you know what I'm saying? But they didn't really just like bless me in all reality. Because if you really think about it, I had started talking shit about Gandalf and cats. And then I got that phone call. You know what I'm saying? They did a little fundraiser. And that was pretty much to try to shut me up, but it didn't. So it is what it is.
Everybody on the panel or anybody who wants to come up and talk, I'd really be curious your take on two positions. If they get the money back, how do you see Safemoon moving forward with what just happened? And that's kind of like a loss of trust. And if they don't get the money back, do you think Safemoon can survive? So, like, do you think Safemoon can survive if they get it or if they don't get it? Anybody up here can go.
I mean, I'll speak on that real quick. So again, right now it's all about PR and how they handle this can go one of two ways. If they get the money, they need to be bold and transparent about everything and stop playing these games because it's pretty much at that breaking point. I mean, if you look at the following of Safemoon, it has fallen, and it's just that simple. But if they don't get the money, then obviously we have other recourses and stuff that have to be done. If they have difficulty getting the money and can't get the money back, and it is valid that it was hacked, then they need to make good on it. But they need to, again, they have to go through the process of saving face. So really, I think the ball is on, it's in their hands right now. They basically have to show valid efforts in the best interest of its investors, or it's literally going to be a bad day for them.
Anybody else want to give your take on the future of Safemoon, where you see it going? I know Maddie's got one. Maddie's always got a like mathematical prediction to the future of things.
Oh, I'm scary that way.
Hey guys, I got caught in the blockchain, but I wanted to say one last thing and then I'll step down.
Yeah.
Maddie was talking about looking at the banking transactions of John and the other devs. If this thing was to go to a lawsuit or something like that, class action lawsuit, it seems like nobody remembers, but if somebody can find the first few AMAs that John and Jack and Papa did, and I mean the first few AMAs that they streamed, we were all asking about the 10% fee for every buy and sell, and what John and Jack told everybody was that this was in like the first couple of AMAs. It's one of the first few ones that they did. But they said that the part of that 10% fee was a fee for BNB because Safemoon was on the the BSC blockchain. And now that I'm more when I first got into Safemoon, like I think like a lot of people were still new to the crypto space. I didn't really know what that meant. And now, looking back on it, I'm just wondering, like, well, what does that really mean? Because just because your blockchain is on the Binance chain doesn't mean that you have to pay Binance a fee for every buy and sell. And it wasn't the whole 10%, but they said that I think it was like 0.5% or 1.5% of that 10% went to a BNB fee. And I think that's going to play a larger role too, if there is to be a lawsuit and we look at banking transactions, yada yada. So,
Well, to kind of touch on that real quick, so one thing that I learned, especially when it comes to any ecosystem for any blockchain, whatever the native coin is, and you create your project underneath them, there's always going to be a transactional fee to every transaction that takes place because it's part of their ecosystem. It's kind of like renting space.
okay, I got you. I don't know. It's just there's just so much going on with SafeMoon. There's been so much going on with them, since day one. It's so now I'm at the point where it's any little thing that just even looks suspicious, it's a red flag. So I mean, just be careful, guys. If you're still buying SafeMoon, I hope you're not buying it right now, but just be careful. Look at some other projects, like Maddie said. There's a lot of other great projects that you can invest in. SafeMoon is just, and John Caroni, I mean, his background, if you just really look, it just doesn't sit right with me. So I just wanted to, get up and let everybody know, hey man, be careful. Be careful.
I'll speak on that real quick. So like, crypto is basically saying there, if so Crypto Bags was saying there, yeah, right now with what's going on with SafeMoon, it sucks. But again, as the biggest advice on anything, never put more money in any project than you're willing to lose. So yeah, if this is a learning lesson for a lot of people, okay, I've lost a lot of money on a lot of projects, but you can't win if you don't play because this is an unregulated space. But as the evolution of crypto has been going on, and it's not behind the scenes, it's on the forefront, and it's being red flagged to everybody, and not many people are paying attention. Follow the regulation of the banking standards, follow the regulation of the proven utilities. It's just a common sense thing. Those are the projects you'll actually make money on, especially over time. You buy the dips, dollar cost average on everything. But those ISO 222 compliant coins, there's 7 of them. Put money in any one of them, you're going to be fine because they're not actually in competition with each other. They have a really good breakdown to show actually how all 7 of those projects work with each other in the banking financial system. So if you put a little bit of money into each one of them, as one goes up, they all go up, which is what the initial focus of what crypto was supposed to be in the first place. But at least they've got it right because they have a backing of a financial system behind them, and especially since all of the world's money has chosen 2 of those projects to be the full representation. So again, diversify. Don't put all your money into one. Diversify. Go into the healthiest projects. And kind of follow that. That's the best piece of advice I can give, especially if you kind of want to have a little bit of a come up in the future. Again, risk versus reward. Balance it out. Do it smart.
Okay, we can go to Darkmoon and then Benzies. What's up, Darkmoon?
Oh my god, I'm trying not to laugh. So much bullshit, so much nonsense. Here's a message from a Maxi, you crypto control jackass.
I hate that song. You could have played any other song and I would have probably listened to it. Go ahead, Benzies.
Oh my god. Yeah, honestly, man, I had enough of Safemoon when it was New Year's Eve when they released the whole advertisement in the Times Square for the entire year. That really just like turned me off after that. Where I just literally just sold all my bag and stuff like that. I felt sorry for all the investors who lost their money when they switched over to version 2, when they were forced, to when they implemented that 100% tax system itself. And like what Maddie was saying, you're right. I mean, there's plenty of coins out there that you can just like literally invest in and just make your own money off of instead of being stuck on SafeMoon itself.
I think something really important when it comes to looking like realistically at the future of SafeMoon is that only the people that believe in SafeMoon believe in SafeMoon, and it's not much compared to what it used to be. and the people on the outside safe, it doesn't just look like that's just another project. It looks bad. It looks like a scam. CoffeeZilla, who's a famous YouTuber, like one of the biggest YouTubers right now, just went on Joe Rogan podcast, did 4 to 5 videos, each one getting millions of views, talking about Safemoon being a scam. From John Caroni to Thomas to Kyle to Ben Phillips. And so from an outside perspective, you're trying to say, is this going to make me money or not? Like, remove all emotional attachments, because that's just nonsense to even try to incorporate that into your decision making, whether or not you're going to make money on this or not. It would be extremely hard to come back. Like, this is how I felt before this happened, yesterday. It would be so hard to make a comeback, because you have to convince the people that don't believe in Safemoon to believe in it, or that they're going to make money off of it. And on top of that, to have everybody just lost the LP, like the LP just got lost. If they don't get that back, if they get it back, then it's still, you're still at a negative because they lost it in the first place, right? Unless they just put more in, right? That'd probably be the only way to be like, okay, we'll put more in than what was there before. But even then, how many people are going to sell if it gets put back? How many people are like, nah, screw this, I'm out, and there's going to be another sell off when it comes back? It's very likely, and like I said, especially if they did try to like compensate for what just happened. So no matter what, Safemoon comes out at a loss with this, in my perspective. There's no winning this. Even if they put the same amount of money back or more money back, there's probably going to be a sell-off. And now people have lost trust in the developers and the people that hired the developers, which would be, John. And so adding all of that on top of what was going on beforehand with John and everything, it just feels like this is almost done. Like, for me, like I do see like this is the potential Safemoon killing event. I don't know if they can recover from this, but anybody up on the stage, if you had a take on that, go for it.
Hey, can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
I never did change over my Safemoon coins when they changed it. I still have the original coins that I bought and bought them on Binance. Can I still just sell those all off as they are?
I actually don't know. I think that it would. I could be totally wrong here. Somebody could correct me. I think that would be like.
Are you talking about V1 original?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Right from the beginning.
No. It is set up that you can only do the migration through their own internal system. You're not able to do the actual transaction across. It won't work. You'll actually be at a loss. Actually, it won't even go through.
Didn't they turn on the 100% tax? Did they turn that off, or did they have a way to disable that? Or
I'm not exactly sure, but I do know that they did set it up so that they made it so the migration can keep on going. So you can still convert your ratio and have your quantity, but as far as the V1, from what I've heard from some people who were late to the game and tried, they got basically burned.
So I need to convert it over, and then I can sell them?
Yeah, well, at this point, it's probably just best to hold it and hope for the best. Because right now, it's pretty much at the point where hold it, and if they can put the money back in, great, then get the hell out of the project, or unless you still believe in the project, then obviously go forward. But the V1, from what I understand, from what I've heard from other people who were late, is no, it will not work. It has to be converted to V2. But obviously, the V2 system is currently, well, we know what's going on right now. It's pretty much just a wait and see game. But if you can convert to V2, I would sit in that position and kind of wait right there.
Okay. So just hold them for the time being and wait, see what happens, and then.
Yeah, I would, because they did say yesterday that due to the compromise and the selling of V2, don't sell your Safemoon because of obviously the compromise. Hold it, just wait, see what happens, and again, hopefully they'll salvage the situation and make best. Again, that's hope, but looking at the trend in history, I'm really not putting much faith into them at the moment. But again, there's hope.
So, what were the other cryptocurrencies that you had mentioned that were mentioned just a bit ago? That Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't going to be at the top of the list as they
All right.
come over. What are the ones that are?
Okay, so the ISO 222. This is the new banking communication system compliance that all banks are going to communicate with.
Okay.
XRP, XLM, those one up being your two primary on-ramp, off-ramp payment systems. XRP is going to be a bridge-to-bridge for the banks, and XLM is going to be a peer-to-peer. As it stands right now, the BRICS nations, if anyone knows what that is, it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, plus another 9 other countries.
Right.
They are all supporting the ISO 222 standard. They've announced it. It is public. They said this is what they're going to do. China put out that XRP will be its primary rail system. Well, that's a huge deal.
That's huge.
And it's a huge deal. So if anyone is looking, XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant, IOTA, Algorand, and I believe ADA. Those are your those would be your primary ones. If you have those coins, you're sitting in a good position. Just hold and wait for the new system to take place. We all know what's going on globally. There's the run on the banks that have been taking place. We're about to start seeing some of the stuff actually happening here in the United States. Our Fed right now is pretty much upside down. They can't maintain. So sit in a good position, buy early, don't spend any more money than it's gonna, that's gonna obviously put you in a bad position. But having something is better than nothing. Go smart. Now on the other side of it, Ethereum is currently right now looking at potential charges being sued as a security, even though the SEC and the CFTC are calling it a commodity, but the Attorney General out of New York, where again this whole thing for Ripple is going through, is calling Ethereum an actual security due to the conduct of how Ethereum was handled. Bitcoin is not being challenged, but there is the carbon tax initiative that is going to ultimately stifle Bitcoin. 13% of the world's power is going to mining. They can't have that.
Right.
So it's not going to go away. It will lose its dominance as the number one position ultimately down the road, but it's not going away. So yeah, it may go up in value, but with what's happening with the banking system right now that people need to be aware of is banks have what is called vostro nostro accounts. This is funds that cannot be allocated to debts or assets to anything. It is solely for transferring money around the world. And it's usually 1/3 of their assets. All the banks are wanting to free up that money. In order to do that, they have to
I think you cut out for me, Maddie. Can you guys hear Matt, or did he cut out for you as well?
Yeah, he cut out.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh,
Yep.
we can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, you're the part where you said in order for the banks to free up that money.
Yeah, in order to free up that money, they have to fund the XRPL demand on liquidity ledger, which is a common sense thing. It just says, take your money from the Vostro Nostro accounts, fund the ledger, and that frees up more cash. Now, there is more money in the Vostro Nostro accounts combined than all the stock markets in the world combined. So if you're looking at the total market cap for crypto, all-time high is what, 3.17 trillion, we're at what, 1.17 right now?
Yep.
We're talking about funding of a single ledger that would be worth more than the entire crypto industry as a multiplier. Common sense dictates if a project's market cap goes up divided by circulation, there's your price. Common sense. And it's not just XRP, it is also XLM. But to go back to touch on the BRICS nations, they're talking about pegging XRP to gold and XLM to silver.
Okay,
so
very
powerful. That is something to think about because they're trying to make those to the actual primary railing system because the SWIFT network, which does all the transactions, is an archaic 40-year-old system. They want a new system. XRP has already been proven. There is CC, I will send you the video that actually has it. It talks about how and what XRP has been doing. It's the only crypto that's in the position that it is, with all of its executives as well as the rest of the world's financial institutions. Even their own people have left their institutions to join Ripple. So, and we're talking on a global level. It's the only project that's set up that way. But again, XRP has been around since shortly after Bitcoin. And
Right.
it was originally designed to support Bitcoin, to help Bitcoin become the chosen one. And Bitcoin decided ultimately not to go down that path. So Ripple was created, which is the management company for XRP, and they've actually systematically been creating this payment system ever since. And all of their footwork, has basically come into fruition. So in 2018, when the project was beginning to J curve and jump up, that was because the first announcement of the first institutional contract that they got, it was going to an all-time high because it was starting to take off. So, Ethereum members, lobbyists, senators, people part of the corrupt system basically weaponized the SEC to file a lawsuit against Ripple, declaring that it was a security. And the entire world, even other federal agencies in the United States, have all told them, what the hell are you doing? So it's just been a stall tactic. Granted, it's good that it was a stall tactic because it's allowing people to get in now. If you can get in now, get in because it's cheap, but the price is obviously going to go up. And the all-time high was 347 with no utility. They got 1,700 financial institutions already on board, and the biggest monetary players and agencies in the world have already declared XRP is the one that's going to be the rail system. So again, common sense on a public notice is telling everyone, do this, but media doesn't want people to know. So, but the information is online. It's on Google. It's, the news. Some news agencies are putting it out, but you can actually find this stuff on Google. It's really not a hard thing. It just requires a little bit of due diligence. And they've been screaming this information out for years of what's going on. There is a video from Dana Pina from 6 years ago. It's a really good video on YouTube. He's basically kind of cussing at the audience about what's actually happening right now, about the greatest transition of human wealth ever recorded in history is happening right now, and we're all witnessing it. So, it's one of those things we can gripe and look at Safemoon and that kind of stuff and play the woe is me, and or we could talk about productive things outside of it, which I'm always down for, because we can keep going around and around and around. Say,
Right. Yeah, true. Yeah. So XRP, but it looks like there's different types of XRPs, XRP 5L, 5S, 3S, 3L.
So yeah, I'm trying to talk a little bit about that, but not too much attention. Otherwise, you might as well just start a XRP space, which would be totally fine. But yeah, the main point of this, like I was trying to direct it towards Safemoon, where it's going, trying to get people's feedback on where they think Safemoon is going. Not so much, nothing wrong with saying, hey, XRP, this could be huge and check it out. But yeah, if anybody wants to come up on the Twitter side of things, you want to explain your take on Safemoon, on why you think what position you think it's in, whether you think it's done, whether you think the LP is getting back. The main reasons that I did this space in this stream today was because Ryan the Fudhound said to get off the Orbital Shield and that it wasn't safe. You have to look that up and research that, decide for yourself. It's not really a risk. It's just moving your stuff to another wallet, right? Like there's no risk of I should have stayed on Orbital Shield. All we have is the person who was working there saying, get off Orbital Shield. And I shared that post on my on my profile if you want to check that out. The other thing I wanted to say real quick, just for anybody who's now starting to tune in, that was one of the main points of reasons why I did this, was Ryan is also saying that the LP is not insured, right? Because everybody's thinking, oh, the LP is insured, we're good. And Ryan is saying it's not. So, and it doesn't seem logical to think that it was, because we were just told by John that it was. And that, once again, just leaves with a lot of potential negative speculation to the future of Safemoon. So if anybody wants to talk specifically about those things or the future of Safemoon, that's definitely where I want to focus the conversation.
Okay.
I could talk about the insurance real quick. Like I said earlier, I actually tried pulling up companies that are actually listed on a lot of the insurances. So like Veritas is they actually offer insurance for crypto companies and that kind of stuff. There are multiple companies that do offer insurance, and there is a public listing of what assets are actually covered. There's really not that many that are. And just from what I was looking at, I couldn't find Safemoon on the list. Now, if they're working with a different company, they can disclose that. They can show that to us. That causes them no harm. And if they do actually have insurance, that will actually do a positive thing by giving, obviously the investors a little bit of trust and faith that, hey, we actually are covered to a point, because it's never covered at 100%. There's only a percentage of it that's actually covered.
True.
So what you're saying is you found no evidence that they were covered at all. Is there it's weird because I've been talking to projects recently that are talking about having insurance on a wallet, like they'll insure so much of your funds up to so much, and then I was like, well, why wouldn't you just hack yourself? They wouldn't know who it was, and you'd get more money, and then that would just run them out of business. So that's kind of like the thinking is, why would anybody cover and insure liquidity pools or decentralized liquidity pools?
Well, see, that's part of the thing when it comes to financial systems, especially when it comes to coverages. They actually have to have third-party controllers to validate everything, make sure everything is correct. That's the whole point why you have, GAAP standard accounting practices, as well as, comptrollers monitoring everything. So, but like I said, I looked, I couldn't find them on a registry. The company names and even the ones that they used to, register over in the UK for their other little umbrella operation companies, I couldn't find any of them. So, but again, it's a limited search, but it would be a smart move on their part to, and even if it's redacted, show a document, show something that says, yes, the LP was covered to a portion. The treasury or whatever entirely was taken was in fact covered to a portion, and will in fact, if we don't recover these funds, the insurance company will take care of this portion to make good, and then John and the dev teams or whatever would have to come out of pocket on their own to make good for the rest. And that's
where I'm like,
good.
If they have practice. If they have coverage, if I was in his position, and I'm trying to imagine this, I'm open to speculation in any direction. Why wouldn't I tell my investors, don't worry, guys, we're insured up to this much, and anything beyond that, I promise, or we'll use the treasury to cover to make sure you guys get. Why would you withhold that? For me, I can immediately think of, well, it's not covered, so you're just not going to address it. Kind of like what to me feels like, hey, John, where do we get the millions of dollars? Oh, we're not going to talk about that. We're just not going to address it. We're not going to address CoffeeZilla and just go forward. And it feels like that's potentially what's happening again. I can't think of a good reason of why you wouldn't tell, ensure your investors that their money is safe and that they're going to get it back.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, again, that comes down to an investor confidence. As much as we've all been following Safemoon, like I said, I've been there from the beginning. I'm not a maxi. I'm very much of a realist. I've made money. I've lost money. It is what it is. I like the approach of what they say and what they're wanting to do. I mean, they show trickles of direction, but what have we ever really seen? Advertising, a wallet, Orbital Shield. Now, on top of that, sure, they made good connections. They brought over those people from the Canadian cyber company, that really big company. That was a pretty solid move, and it was validated people. But again, it comes down to what else has been done. Everything that's been going on with CoffeeZilla. This currently taking place, this is a really bad view right now. But again, a smart move, quick, easy move would be show something in good faith to your investors. That way they feel good. They can establish a little bit of trust, because right now, as it stands right now, everyone feels compromised. Everyone feels violated at this point, and it's getting to the point where the more they hold back, the more we actually feel lied to. And that's not the direction they're going to want to go.
I actually, for one, it's kind of interesting to see how much can people believe in something and how bad can things get and then still keep believing in it. Like as an outside perspective, it's like, wow, you guys, no problem with SafeMoon, really? The whole team left. They didn't deliver on that. They got money that they don't know where you got it from, and you lost your money. But SafeMoon to the moon, like that's interesting to me. I'm not trying to say you're anything about that, but that's like an interesting experiment on the like human psychology of like what causes people to do that. The other thing is SafeMoon will never tell you that they're done until it's like they'll be the last ones to tell you. I think the people that like really are just like you're not swayed so emotionally towards being rich or towards hating SafeMoon, and you're able to just put the information out there and say, okay, what is the truth? Like you just want to know what the truth is. You don't care if it supports what you want or doesn't. You just want to know what the actual reality of it is. That those people are going to be the ones talking and seeing the signals of SafeMoon on what it's about to do. SafeMoon will let you know like at the last moment when it's like when there's like the worst case scenario. But I think that typically with the pattern of SafeMoon and really anything, there's always signs of what's to come. There's always like there was signs that Ryan was leaving. There was signs that Thomas was not happy and thinking about leaving before he actually quit. There's always signs that there's things happening, and if you just be realistic about them, you're going to see them coming. But if you listen to the team and you wait for them to be the official source of themselves of whether or not what they're doing is good or bad, you're going to be the last person to know. And that's all. It's been that way every time. So if SafeMoon is going downhill, or they are going to sell, or they're going to call it a day, or John's just going to dip, like I don't know, then they're not going to tell you that, right? They're not going to tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the reality of it. It's an inexperienced CEO, like the stuff that I do for my own company. When we deal with massive power utilities, when we actually have to figure out power grids and who's going to be the providing client and that kind of stuff to generate the power so we can get it to a city or to whatever. We have things that are laid out, and then we have public information that are going to basically take place. That's the thing that should be going on. They should be sharing more information. But one thing I did see recently, and I will speak on this because it's going to become relative. We keep hearing about regulation. Well, yeah, we need regulation. We don't need corporate regulation, but we need some level of regulation for projects that are valid, to get the bad actors out. One of the pieces of regulation that I saw that was going to possibly be submitted that hopefully might actually go through is after this SEC lawsuit with Ripple, by the way, that's going to create a legal precedence and framework for regulation. They don't want to get rid of crypto. That's not going to happen. But it sounds and seems like they're trying to create regulation as in if you're a company, you will have to be doxxed, validated, regulated, and registered on the appropriate exchanges. Now, we already know that most projects, when regulation comes out, it's just going to die off. We know that's just going to happen. That's just evolution. It's like the beer runs back in the 70s when most big companies bought out the smaller ones, and then we were left with our current beer brands. Just is what it is. Same thing's going to happen with crypto. Most of these projects are just going to go away if they can't follow or be compliant. They're going to die off. But as investors, you, me, everyone who's listening, it would be nice to know that there is some sort of protective measure and validation of communication. And I think that's what might be submitted is there will be a requirement of updates and information from a development team, especially if they're going to provide a utility or be a payment system to validate for the investors. Because they're not required to report to you like how stock is. That's not the level of regulation, but there's going to be information that's going to be required. Which, if SafeMoon does survive this and gets to that next level, then they would be forced to be transparent. Whether they like it or not, they'd be forced. But we're not in that position. But that's where everything is ultimately going to end up going. So, wish that was now, because we would have a much better idea of what the hell's going on, and we know we would be protected, because once regulation comes in, there will be insurances. There will be monetary obligations and that type of stuff.
Yeah, I if anybody wants to come up on the Twitter, YouTube side, I probably won't be doing this too much longer. I'll probably be getting off soon.
Yeah.
I just wanted to focus in on like I said, those 2 points of this important information to you. If you're in the Safemoon wallet, uh, you're using Orbital Shield, that whatever wallets are connected to that, Ryan's saying get off that. I don't know if what he's saying is true or if you actually have to be worried about it. I just know that the previous member of the team who actually worked for them, who is a stand-up guy in my opinion, and like you said, he's an ex-Marine, is saying get off that, and he's also saying that the LP is not insured. And yeah, I think that as far as like the future of Safemoon, it just doesn't look good. And in my perspective, it looks really bad. It already looked really bad, and like this is not including that John might have to, like like you're talking about, what legal potentials does John have to face with what's gone on with Safemoon, like involving taxes and involving like being considered a security and involving potentially taking from the LP and where they got their money, like all the so many potentials for so many terrible things to happen. And you know, something that I'm really wanting to break down and start studying is why do people believe in one project over another, and to truly understand that, because the bull market's coming, right? The opportunities are coming. Projects are going to start popping up left and right, and the opportunity to make hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars is going to be there, and it's going to be a tough position for us to be in because we have to pick the right ones, and we need a way to pick those out. And I honestly think that there is approaching a project based on, are they doxed? Do they have a real utility? Like that's how everybody's approaching projects. Are they doxed? Do they have a real utility? You know, is the contract safe? And like, there's nothing wrong with those things, but I think that there was like Safemoon demonstrated something that I kind of want to delve into more. And I'm sure there's people that understand this more than me, but it's like, is this idea, are people going to be sold on in this idea or not? Not do they have utility or any of that stuff? Are people going to be sold on this idea? Because if people are going to believe this idea, and that's going to spread like wildfire, then that has the potential to really blow up. So like for me, that's something I want to approach, and I think Safemoon demonstrated that. Safemoon in a couple ways, I feel like, and everybody's up here, welcome to come up here and comment on this. I feel like what people buy into is something new. It's a new idea that hasn't been done, and something's new about it, you know. And it's offering you safety and that you're going to be rich, right? And it's selling you an idea, and everybody's being sold on it. Because like with Safemoon, they had liquidity, they had reflections. It was reflection token. It was the first big reflection tokens you hold. Like the people were sold on that. I was sold on that, and the liquidity's locked, even though it wasn't locked, and they had access to it. And they pulled tons of liquidity out, which terribly hurt the price. But at the time, those are the ideas that people were sold on. And so I think AI is kind of a thing right now to keep an eye on, that people are being sold on AI. But really, it's not approaching a project based on will this project succeed or not, but it's will people buy into this idea or not, right? Because if you approach Safemoon like that, like, hey, people are going to buy into this idea and it's going to blow up, then maybe you could have picked it out. And it could just be that it's impossible to pick out a project that is going to explode based on that. It might just, by the time you recognize that people are buying into it, that it's too late. But that's just kind of how I'm going to approach projects, is do I think that this has, that everyone's going to buy into this idea or not? I'm going to invest based on that. I'm not going to invest based purely or solely on, is this have a real utility and a real roadmap and all that stuff? Does anybody want to comment on that, or?
It's a good idea. That's the whole key right there, is when do you buy what? You know, I remember guys were buying XRP when it, you know, first came out and whatnot, and you couldn't just buy it on any of the exchanges. You had to know how to get it, you know. And XRP shot up, and then it went down, and it stayed down, and people didn't think anything's going to happen to it. Now it looks like, you know, things might turn around. So I think sometimes it's just hard to determine.
Yeah, it is. And it could just be a combination of, is this something that people would really sell people? And is it safe? Are they going to rug it? Is the contract safe? Those would be great things to get into, start learning and stuff. And like the developer was saying yesterday, like if you pull it up on BSC scan, it'll tell you if there's any like major flaws in it, in the contract. So yeah, that's definitely like, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you hype hope and you give a little bit to tease it, it's gonna get people hooked. And that's just simple psychology.
Yeah, and I think every project's trying to do that, right? There's not a project out there that isn't like trying to do that, as far as if I understand what you're saying correctly. Like they're all like, this is the next big thing. This is what we're doing. We're doing this huge. We've got this NFT marketplace. We've got this guy. We've got these connections. I feel like every project, so like that structure is being abused, but I guess from that point it would come down to like trying to figure out in a market that's where everybody's doing that, what makes certain projects stand out? Because like Safemoon never delivered on anything, you know what I mean? It made a swap, but that didn't. Everything it has delivered on hasn't helped the investors at all. It's actually only hurt the investors as far as the swap goes. People investing in that and having, from what I saw, everybody got wrecked on the swap. I mean, if there's some good, if somebody made some profits, then hey, that's awesome. From what I saw, most people on the swap got wrecked, and a lot of those projects even turned their back on SafeMoon and said we had a bad experience with their swap because they were getting liquidity or whatever it might be. So
hey, real quick, I was going to ask.
yeah,
You said Ryan Fudhound was saying to get off of Orbital Shield wallet.
yeah, he was.
The thing about it is Ryan has been a solid guy. He was a solid guy before he ever won on Safemoon. The guy has been in the tech industry and that kind of stuff, and he's got good character. If he's laying an honest concern, it does not hurt to get off of the Safemoon wallet to just in Trust Wallet create a duplicate. It's not a hard thing, and just send over to your other wallet right there. You can do it. You can create duplicate wallets on Trust Wallet. Now I'm just going to say, if you feel comfortable doing that, it can't hurt you. Just transfer it, send it. If everything resolves, cool, then send it back. But if he's saying there's an issue with the tech, and of course he was off of it for a while, they may have fixed the situation, may not have fixed the situation, but based off of what he's saying, I'm more inclined to kind of listen to what he said about that. Me personally, I will transfer the stuff that I had on that one multi-coin wallet, and I will send over. But that's me. But that's my approach. That's kind of how I'm going to take it. So just to make it safe for myself, because I have other projects on that one wallet that I would like to try to keep secure. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer some of my stuff.
It kind of sucks because there's no loss to like not being on Safemoon. I mean, I guess I could try to make an argument from the other side that, oh, what if you moved those wallets and then they got compromised and then you felt like you would have been safer on the Safemoon wallet? I try to create this hypothetical scenario. Like I have the ability to speculate in the other direction. But it's also like, well, what if Ryan told you get your wallets off that, and then you got hacked? And it'd be like, well, basically almost at no cost for like, there's no risk to pulling your wallets off of that unless you just really believe that SafeMoon's that much safer. And it's hard to say that after yesterday. I'm not trying to just beat them for no reason, but it's hard to say that something like that might not happen with the wallet as well, or Orbital Shield, I mean.
Yeah, well, to kind of go with that, you got to remember, when you import your seed phrase into the actual SafeMoon wallet, only that address is compromised. If you send from that address to a different address, it doesn't have the seed phrase. It has no control over the receiving wallet, only the current wallet. So for the time being, it would just make sense. Yeah, take them off for the time being. You could always send them back if everything is fine, because you never have to close the wallet out. All you're doing is you're just removing stuff off of that registered address. So it's no harm, no foul. It's just a protective means, because unless you do activity with that new address and potentially compromise it, then that could be something. But if it's just sitting there waiting, they couldn't hack it. They couldn't do anything, because there's no executable protocol to send from that address back. And that's what they would have to mirror. They would have to get that coding to mimic that function in a blockchain, exchange. But since there's no activity, it would just be secure.
Hey, so Crypto, can I just so some people know me on here. I was heavily involved in the community of Safemoon when it first started, and I want to go back to how you create hope for things and hope for people. And you know, Safemoon was extremely good at that. I mean, they were at that time excellent. And I think the Safemoon community was so strong and people were so hopeful that this would make them money and rich and everything like that, that everything was going to work out. I mean, I don't know if you know, but I raised money on Reddit and Twitter and everywhere for that billboard in Times Square, that first billboard. And you know, like you go back to them showing, you know, you were talking about how they just have to prove there's, you know, show that they have a insurance policy, show this. Listen, when I collected money from a lot of the community members of SafeMoon and they trusted me, I was an open book. I showed the bank account that it went into. I showed everything. And when you're open like that and you show what you're allowed to show, that you're supposed to show, that builds trust. And I think that's the thing about SafeMoon is that they need to have that trust with the community and people that, look, if you do have insurance, so show us. And then, great. Okay, well, that's the conversation ender. You have insurance. Great. But you can't keep people in the dark. And I'm one of those guys who hyped SafeMoon so much in the beginning. I mean, SafeMoon followed me. I mean, Ryan would message me sometimes privately. I mean, I did everything I could because, I mean, I believed in it. I mean, at that time, it was awesome. And we all thought that. And then, you know, just things happen, and I understand things happen, but you know, I don't know what the future is. I'm not as technical as you guys. I was more on like the let me get the community into this, let's get the billboards up. And then they told me stop doing billboards. You can't do that. We're going to get you in trouble if you put safe food on billboards for the community. So things started changing, and it was very strange. And they're like, "Hey, IGH properties are Owen. You can't do that. You can't do that anymore. Don't do that." And I think it started to go downhill, and then he put the billboard up. And but the community in the beginning was really an important part of building SafeMoon, and I just want to say that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's definitely it kind of just makes me sad because it feels like they've always prioritized themselves and that the investors were always last in everything with money spending, with information, with, you know, transparency. You're always last. They said Thomas wasn't leaving. They both said he left like a month later.
Yeah, he also left with a nice Ferrari and a lot of money.
And it's not just to like hate on them. That's just actually how they've been. And, you know, even whenever like I was a believer in SafeMoon, and I don't think that like the community we had and the money they had and the name we had reason to be that bullish on SafeMoon. We had reasons to be a maxi. It's their behavior that has caused all the doubt because they're the ones. It's a centralized, you know, event. John controls everything. It's one guy controlling all of the money and everybody who's in. It's the worst case scenario. It's like the opposite of what DeFi is meant to be. And it's what caused the fall of SafeMoon in my perspective. But like there was one time and I was like, hey, like it'd be really cool if we could promote as YouTubers, promote SafeMoon gear, like wear it and have like a link to it so that like we're helping promote the SafeMoon gear, we're showing it off, and we're getting paid a little bit for it. A way to like pay the community back. It was like, oh yeah, we'll ask them about that. Never got back to it. It was just like any way to support the community is just always like, no, fuck you guys. If we're not making money, then we're not doing it, and we're not giving any of that money back to you guys. That's how it always felt. And you know, even with the swap and thing, it's like, oh yeah, this tiny little fee goes into burning tokens. That's not going to raise the price, dude. I mean, you'd have to freaking explode for that to happen. And yeah, for me, it sucks. It was such an amazing thing. I loved being a part of it. I loved interacting with everybody. It's great. With like the maxi mindset would have been fine if they had just done the right things. All they had to do was release even normal products. And I believe that the massive
Crypto?
community. Yeah.
Hey, real quick. If you want to go ahead and pull me down, I got to go take care of something. I'll be back in a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm actually about to end this space, but yeah, I can pull you down if you want.
All right, good to go. Thanks, bud.
Well, anyway, Crypto, I'll step down, but I appreciate all your spaces and everything, and it's just you know, it's kind of like this. I miss the old days, you know. I mean, I miss the old days with exactly what you're saying. I mean, I raised like $20,000 from the community to put up this billboard. And I mean, this community was so into it. I miss those days. They were so tight. They were so, I mean, and everyone believed in the John and his team. And I think there's a lot of internal things that went on that we'll never know about, and we'll never know the truth. You'll never know the truth. But you know,
I think that you might, when the NDAs run
I
out
hope
on his
so.
uncle and on people that have worked there, that we're probably gonna start getting some stuff, and especially if they go to court, that we might get some stuff out of them going to court as well.
Well, I hope so, but I'll just step down. I'll just say this. Look, I still love everyone in the community. I think we had the greatest community. I really believe that back in the day, and I think we still have great people. Whether you believe in Safemoon or not, they're still great people. So, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone in Safemoon. So, thanks.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And you know, unfortunately, if you think from a maxi mindset, which is simply, I want to be rich, and I think this is going to make me rich. Therefore, anything negative is bad, and anything positive is good. If that's how you start, it's very simple. It's not super complex. Then, like, I just want you to know that people assume that because I cover the negative stuff, that I do it for selfish reasons. And what people don't understand is that for me, I used to work like all the time, like everybody, right? Working 10, 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week plus Sunday, 5 to 6 years. And so for me, Safemoon was this opportunity to make content, daily content, talking about Safemoon, and enough to pay the bills, like enough to get by good. Not like rich, like definitely making less than like working like a regular job, but enough to survive. And it was like, this is my dream job, to be able to get up, talk about something I love, make content, and things might only get better if Safemoon does well. I'll be one of the big YouTubers, and I'll get more views, and I'll get more money, and we'll all make a bunch of money, and we'll be able to meet up and have like be able to meet these people I've been talking to, and these other YouTubers and these people in the space, and even like cats and them. I used to be like, John, it'd be so cool to meet up and have this big meeting with everybody. It was like such a cool thing, and I can't morally cover Safemoon in like dishonest way because I want to do that, because I still could do that. People don't understand. They say I'm doing this for views or for money. Safemoon has good views. I could be putting out videos every day on Safemoon. Guys, this is why this is amazing, and Safemoon's going Safemoon to $1 million. What if this happens? I'm just not that dishonest. So like I literally am putting off, and I'm not just trying to make this about me, but I think this is generally how everybody in the space works when they come to honestly talk about Safemoon. It's usually not for selfish gain. It's usually in spite of hurting themselves. Like I literally hurt my own channel. I hurt my own views. I hurt my own reputation that I built off of Safemoon by covering it honestly. I don't get anything off of that. I lose money. I lose my ability to support myself off of views. And I do that because in my mind, it's just the truth is more important than that. And I'm not going to survive. That's like, I basically become a scammer. If I was to survive off of lying to you, saying Safemoon's the next big thing, and not covering all of this stuff in a realistic light, I'd be scamming you guys. I'd be tricking you guys into losing your money so that I can get some views. And same thing with anybody in the space. If you're super down on Safemoon and you're just talking about it because you're super down, you want your price to go up, you're a scammer. If you don't prioritize truth over your desire to be rich or to not lose money or to get more money, then you're a scammer. Your interaction with other people is going to be a scammer. So what it turns out to be is that a lot of people that start attacking me and other people that talk about these things, you end up becoming a scammer in your own way. Maybe not to the extent that you could, but if somebody like you becomes in charge of a project, you'd probably scam them too. Just to be blunt with you guys. Maybe not. Maybe you're only okay with certain kinds of scamming and not like blatantly obvious scamming. That's just something I want people to keep in mind and to know that follow me. But the thing is like, yes, Safemoon had a ton of views because it had a massive community. It has great views on YouTube. And it does suck trying to move away from that, from easy views on something that I loved to trying to grow a channel. But for me, it's just, there's more area for opportunity of growth as far as covering new projects, as far as covering Bitcoin. And like, I'm confident that I can do it without Safemoon. Like, I don't want to build a channel where people only love me because I say positive things about Safemoon. I want to build a channel where people like me because they know that I have their best interest in mind. And that's the kind of audience I want to build. And unfortunately, that's not Safemoon holders. Because if you have their best interest in mind and you talk about the liquidity missing and where they got their millions and how the hack happened and how it should have been audited, any of those things, you become their enemy, right? And they they attack you. So they don't want to hear the truth. That's all it is, and they hate you if you speak it. So I just wanted to put that out there for people that are like, oh, he's only doing this for views or whatever. I make $0 off of Twitter. I get nothing from Twitter, and I get like, unless you donate, which people are just too poor these days to donate, and Safemoon's down. Why are they going to be donating if they don't have money? I get like maybe $5 to $10 off of YouTube for a video that gets 1,000 views. This video will probably get 2,000 to 3,000 views, or maybe probably 1,000 to 2,000 views. This live stream that I'm doing right now on YouTube, and then I owe 30% taxes on that. And people go, "Oh, you're doing this just to get views and get paid." I'm like, "Yeah, $10. You care so much about that $10, but John has millions and millions and millions of dollars, and that's okay." And that's just that mathematical sense, the crazy degree of judgment of forgiving John and excusing John and just condemning everybody else. It is that big of a magnitude. If you make $5 off Safemoon talking about it in a negative way, then you're obviously evil. But if you make millions of dollars off of taking liquidity from the investors, it's okay because you probably deserved it, or he's going to use it for good, or whatever. And that's just one of the final things I wanted to say. I could if anybody else had anything they wanted to say on the Twitter side, well, I'll go ahead and let you up and say that. If not, I'll read some more of the YouTube comments, and I'll probably end this here unless some bigger information comes out, which I assume we'll be learning in the next couple days or whatever, what's going to happen with liquidity. Liquidity, just, everybody just doesn't have money, and there's not really any communication going on that. And I don't think if the team knows something, they're trying to figure out the way to say it in the best way possible. Like when John found out the Gambia that basically Operation Phoenix was dead, he came back and said, "Guys, great news. I realized while I was down in the Gambia that we could just go to the whole world." Like if you go read his captain's log, and it's like the actual message was Operation Phoenix is cut off because I tried to convince them to like cut my mother out of the deal because of this lawsuit that's going on, and because of that, they now want nothing to do with us, and so everything that Safemoon had going in the Gambia is completely dead. And instead of telling you that, he like made it in a positive light. So like even if Safemoon died, it would be funny to see it. Like, guys, I think the best thing for Safemoon right now is if we just let it end here, and something great will arise from it.